How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to my channel. So tonight I want to talk about three people that I feel like are the most important contributors to movie making at least in the modern era. And those people would be Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and John Williams. And there's actually a connection between these three men. These guys are actually quite up there in age now. Spielberg is 76, Lucas is 79, and John Williams is 91. But they've actually worked together quite a bit, and then worked on. John Williams has worked on a lot of the films from both of these directors. As far as George Lucas, he hasn't done as many films. John Williams has been part of the Star Wars franchise. For the most part, he did all 6 films. Lucas only did episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. He didn't. He just produced and wrote 5 and 6, but John Williams did all those, and he did a lot of the other Star Wars movies as well. He didn't do American Graffiti is one that George Lucas did. That was one of his most popular movies that didn't involve sci-fi. And then of course his first movie is THX 1138. But as far as Steven Spielberg, John Williams has done almost all of his films for the most part. I think Duel comes to mind to being one that he didn't do, but this is one of Spielberg's one of his earliest movies. But he's done so many others of it that so important. Of those film scores are what really drive those movies. I remember when Star Wars when they first did like a screening of it before any of the music was added. People didn't really get it all that much. A lot of the producers that saw that movie didn't quite see it, and then they heard John Williams' score later added to the film, and then all of a sudden they totally bought into the movie. He's done John Williams as far as Spielberg's movies. He's done Saving Private Ryan. I think I own like 14 or 15 movies from Spielberg, but AI, E.T., Munich. This movie is a really violent Spielberg movie that unless what the subject matter is, the 72 Olympics, if you don't know what that is, and you probably wouldn't understand that this is how violent this movie is. He did this movie that is one of the Spielberg's movies that's not. A lot of fans don't really like this movie too much, but it's 1941. You can see I only have it on DVD. I don't know if I'm ever going to get this on Blu-ray or not, but it's got John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. But he did that. And I found out just recently when Treat Williams passed away that he was in this movie as well. So I haven't seen this one in quite a while, but I need to check it out again. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He's Jaws, the iconic movie. I'm wearing a Jaws shirt right now. Jurassic Park. Spielberg did the first 2 Jurassic Park movies, and he produced a lot of the other ones. And then of course, this is the movie that links all 3 men together. As far as working together, it's the Indiana Jones franchise, which Spielberg directed the first 4. He's not James Mangold is producing he directed the 5th one, but John Williams did all the film scores for all these movies. I think possibly the Indiana Jones I forgot the title, the new one, Dial of Destiny, I believe, but that one that could possibly be John Williams' last film that he ever does, possibly. He's, like I said, he's 91. How long can this guy work? He obviously does it because he loves it, and it keeps him young, apparently, to be able to do that many films for that long. So I just can't imagine, basically, just think about the cinemaplexes that were built because of Lucas and Spielberg. Just think about that. The movies that when Spielberg did Jaws in 1975. That was like the summer blockbuster that broke all records at that time. And then 2 years later, George Lucas made Star Wars, and that movie broke all the records that Jaws had set. And just think about that. Those movies from the 70s that did so well. Going into the 80s, that's when the big Hollywood boom took off, and people really went to the theater a lot in that decade. And that's when movie theaters that had at one time only had like 3 screens when I was a kid started to blow up and get 14 screens, 20 screens. I don't know if I've ever heard of more than 20 screens, but I'm sure you can leave in the comments. Let me know if you've had any movie theaters in your area that had more than 20 screens. But I've seen one. I think it was somewhere in like Covington, Kentucky, when I was at a Cincinnati Reds baseball game across the river, the Ohio River. You could see this AMC that had like I found out later had 20 screens, which is amazing. You know, I've seen some in like like Chicago and Schaumburg, Illinois, which is near Chicago. That one. There's a Lowe's in Schaumburg that had like the first level was like 10 screens, and the second level was like another 10 screens, I believe, and so huge. You know, it had like an escalator to get to the second floor. You know, but that's amazing. And I think that those theaters were built because of Spielberg and Lucas, and you know, John Williams added the sound to it that really drove those movies, made them even more popular. You know, than just the visual. So I really feel like these three men are like some of the most important people in my life. You know, just all these films that I own from them, you know, and John Williams doing the film score on so many of those movies that I own. So I think he's extremely important. So let me know in the comments how important are these three people in your life. You know, I'm sure if I'm going to be 50 years old this year, so you know, for me they've been there, you know, for most of my life. So I've grown up with them. You know, who knows how much longer John Williams will be alive, you know, at 91, you know, but you know, it's amazing that he's still working at that age, you know. It just, like I said, he does it for the love of it, you know. I'm sure it's not so much for, maybe, you know, to some degree for the money as well, but he does it because he loves it. So that's amazing to do something your entire life that you love, you know. That's what they say. You never work a day in your life if you do something like that you really enjoy. So that's all I have for tonight. Just really excited to talk about this. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, please do that. And please put a thumbs up on the video. And have a good night. Thank you. Bye.